Need you for the old me, need you for my sanity, need you to remind me where I come from. Can you remind
Hey guys,
me?
welcome back. It's Grace Mona, and today I'm doing part 3 of my How to Get Clinical Experience series, talking about EMT positions. So yeah, let's get started. Side note, I did switch up the scrubs for the remainder of the series. So from blue to pink. Pink is also my favorite color. But going back to EMT positions. So basically EMT stands for Emergency Medical Technicians, and they're basically individuals who respond to obviously emergency medical conditions. They pretty much are paramedics, and they work with fire departments, sometimes hospitals. There's different types of EMTs. I'm not going to go into the specifics, but for the most part it is one of the ways to get clinical experience. Typically they are volunteer positions, but you can in some places work for a hospital and get paid, so that is another option that you might have as a pre-medical student. A lot of people that I knew in high school, they did EMT training programs. I think the youngest, or the old, you just need to be 16 years old, like not to be like the youngest, but the youngest you can be to be an EMT is probably 16 years old. I think it varies, it might vary from state to state, but for the most part that was like the age requirement. What were the other things? So yeah, age requirement, what they do, it is clinical experience. And typically I think nowadays it's like not being like pushed forward as much for pre-med students. For pre-PA it's still considered clinical experience or patient care experience, but for pre-med students it's not going to mean as much as scribing or shadowing, because as a paramedic or an EMT you're not going to be seeing what a physician does on a daily basis. So it is a good way to get exposure, patient care experience, but for the most part you're never going to really be able to build the relationship in that position to inquire with a physician at a hospital or a local clinic and be like, oh, was that procedure that you did there, what is your exam finding, or what is your diagnosis for this patient. Like, you're never going to be able to do that or see what a physician does. So when you're applying to med school, not to be too forward thinking, but like when you're applying to med school, that might be something that you want to keep in mind, is it might not actually be fully supporting or directly related. Like, it is good experience, but typically it's not like the most direct way to get clinical experience or to be in contact with a physician. But right, other points about EMT. For PA students, it would count towards your patient care experience, so it definitely isn't something that you have to worry about. But for pre-med students, you need to be aware of the difference. Also, my other advice to pre-med students would be to consider, if you are an EMT, I wouldn't recommend going out of your way to get EMT training. I know a lot of people who are like, oh, I'm gonna volunteer with the fire department or my local fire department and become an EMT and get a really cool intro for my personal statement and things like that. You shouldn't do certain opportunities because you're like, I need to be interesting in my personal statement. But to each their own. But again, going back to applications for med schools and how that will play a role. If you are working as an EMT, you're gonna need to get hours under a physician, so that might be an additional stress towards shadowing and then also your academics. Whereas if you do a position kind of like I did with scribing, you can probably cut back on shadowing, or I looked at it upgrading from shadowing to getting paid shadowing experience. So that's why I usually recommend scribing more so for pre-med students, and maybe EMT or CNA positions for pre-PA students who are upperclassmen, who have the maturity and the academic performance, proven academic performance, that they can add additional stressors. So that's pretty much my summary of the EMT position, what it could do for you if you are a pre-med PA student. If you have experience working in the EMT, please comment down below in the comment section. Give this video a like if you enjoyed my video, and also give me comments about what you would like to see me cover in the future. I plan to do a couple more pre-med oriented interning abroad clinical experience videos in the last few months of my internship. So yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.